Hey you guys. Okay, so today we're gonna be doing covalent bonding and naming them. Okay, which another name for it is nomenclature. Okay, so keep in mind covalent molecular, it has the same meaning. So again, let me rephrase what I talked about yesterday about what covalent bonding is. Covalent bonding is a chemical bond resulting from the sharing of an electron pair between two or more nonmetals. Now, your nonmetals are on the right side of the periodic table. And of course, this also includes hydrogen. Okay, so so basically, there's some rules when you are looking at basically when they're bonding and the way you have to name them. So just like your name has a first name and a last name, so do they. Okay, when they're bonding, when you have two or more together, they're bonding, they have a certain name. Okay, so we have a certain name, but we have rules to how we need to name them. Okay, so in here, I'm going to put the rules, but mainly it might sound like a lot, but it's really not that hard. Okay, so like for example, if you see like if there's subscripts, it's like 1 through anytime. If it's a 1, it's usually a mono, but there is exceptions. Okay, if there's a subscript 2, it's called di, 3 tri. So that's their prefix in the beginning. So I'm going to give you an example before I read out the rules, but I'm going to apply the rules as I'm looking at it. In the end, I'll read the rules, but you'll see how easy it is. Okay, so let me give you examples. Okay, so let's start with basically NF3. So obviously, like here, N, that means it's a nitrogen, right? And as you guys could see, there's no subscript. That doesn't mean that there's no nitrogen. Nitrogen's there. So just being there, we usually, we're kind of lazy sometimes. We don't like putting too much like a 1. Why would we put a 1 if we know nitrogen's there, and that just signifies that there's 1. Okay, so basically one of the rules is that the first one, because this one has a 1, okay, basically it starts with mono, but the rules say that that basically that first element never first element do not need mono. Okay, first element will not need mono. So nitrogen is the first element. Fluorine is the second element. So again, keep in mind that this is the first element, and fluorine is and you could tell because they're for every capital letter, that means it's another element. And you could tell, like, look at this one, neon, that if it has 2 letters and there's a lowercase, it's just the abbreviation of neon. So fluorine is just 1. So every time you see a capital letter, you know that that's one atom, one element, and that's another element. So in here, it would be, so this one would be the second element. Okay, so again, it's gonna have, since it's gonna have a first name and a last name, a second name. Okay, the last name. It's like us, we have a first name and a last name, right? So anyways, so one of the rules is we never put 1 if there's 1 on the first one. Okay, so this one, we just write it just the way it looks. Okay, just the way it looks. Nitrogen would be N nitrogen. So this one, the answer would be nitrogen would be the first name. And then the second one is fluorine, right? It says fluorine, but it has a 3. Okay, so if it has a 3, then it has a prefix of tri. Okay, that means it's at the beginning, it's going to show tri. Okay, so this will have, and I'm going to go ahead and put in red tri, and then I need to know, and then also the second nonmetal, the second is changed to IDE at the end. Okay, So second nonmetal is changed to IDE. So since it's fluorine, fluorine. So instead of I and E, we're going to write fluoride. So this is the difference. Okay, so now we're going to write it there. So we're going to put fluor, and then it's going to be at the end, and I'm going to put it in red so you can see the rules, how they apply. Okay, so it will be nitrogen trifluoride. So again, you could even look at your medicine cabinet or any kind of cleansers or that anything that shows the names, like the ingredients of what you're eating or what you're spraying or anything, and you will see their names. Okay, not all the time they show the shape. Sometimes they do show shapes, but they always give you the names of it, and they're usually written scientifically through chemistry. Okay, so you will see, you might even bump into this a lot. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at the next one. This one has, now we're going to look at the first element. Now it's the same elements. This is what nitrogen, fluorine, right? But except now they have two different numbers. So this is not a 1. We could go ahead and put the 2 in there, okay? So in here, the prefix for nitrogen for 2 is di. Okay, now you don't even have to memorize this because this is what's going to be provided to you in the exam. So 2 means di. So I'm going to put di as a prefix. Again, this is the prefix is like before, right? So di, and then the first one, you just write it just the way it looks in the periodic table. So it'll be dinitrogen. Okay, and then the second one is the fluorine is 4. So that one's tetra. Okay, tetra. So we're going to go ahead and put tetra. I'm going to put it in red. So tetra. And then I'm going to put, again, fluoride. Okay, because the second name always will have IDE. Okay, so I'm going to put fluor. And then I'm going to put in red IDE. Okay, so again, you have your prefix. Okay, and then the second name always has IDE. Okay, first name never has mono. Okay, so be careful. But second name does. That's why mono is there. It exists because mono can exist. Okay, so that's what we're going to be looking at. Okay, so now we're going to look at some exceptions on mono. Okay, so I'm just going to delete this because that has nothing to do with this. Okay, so in here, some people, again, the first one has a 1. Okay, and this one has a 1. Okay, that's, so here, the first one never has mono. Okay, so the C represents carbon. Okay, it represents carbon. So in here, that will be carbon. That's it. It will be carbon. Okay, and then oxygen, this one, be careful because we have to think about how it's going to be written down. Okay, so some students get it confused. Now this one we could go ahead and put mono. So I'm going to write mono, right? Because it's the second name. Okay. So mono, and then it will be ox. Ox. Now instead of oxygen, we need to put IDE. So how are we going to put that? So it's it will be ox. It can't be oxygen. It's oxide. oxide. Okay, so it will be mono and monoxide. And if you see this O's, those two O's, you never double up on O's. So you need to get rid of one. Okay, you never double up on O's. And it's part of the rules that I wrote for you. Okay, so really, it will be carbon monoxide. And I'm gonna rewrite this so you can see how it's written. So it will be mono as your prefix, and then the X, and then it's the IDE, monoxide. Okay, so again, carbon, this would be carbon, and then it's mono, and then monoxide. Okay, so you always apply that IDE. Now let's do this one. Okay, now keep in mind that we have to kind of look out for also vowels. So I'm going to talk about that in here. So it will be that will be P will be phosphorus. So that will be 4 of them. So 4 will be tetra. Tetraphosphorus. Oops, phosphorus. Now again, the first one you always write it just the way it looks in the periodic. So it would be tetraphosphorus. And then the next one will be the 10 will be the 10 would be let's change this to 9. Okay, 9. Okay. Okay, so this one will be the now if the prefix ends in an A, so like at 9 has an A. Okay, if the prefix ends in an A, drop the A if second non-metal starts with a vowel. Okay, since oxygen starts with an owl, you're gonna have to drop the A from the 9, from the nona. Okay, so in here, so we're gonna go ahead and look at that. It will be no, so it will be NON, and then it will be ox, and then IDE. Okay, so again, you need to make sure on those two. Like I'm sure you saw why I put the 10 in there. Okay, I took out the 10, but we're just practicing here. Okay, so again, tetra, phosphorus, non-oxide. Okay, so again, okay, so the rules are, okay, so rule number 1, I didn't really talk about it because usually I give it to you anyways. Okay, so the most metallic element will always be the first one. So how do you know which is the most metallic? You know that the metals are most of the ones are in the left side. All of these are metals, except for hydrogen, of course, but all of these. So the more it's on the left side, then that's the one that goes first. Like if you're looking at phosphorus and oxygen, carbon and usually they're the ones on the side. So if you look at nitrogen and fluoride, you see how this one's on the left, and that's why it's first. Again, goes in here, okay? And then if you look at carbon and oxygen, you see how carbon's first. Why? Because carbon is more metallic because it's more on the left side than oxygen, okay? And then if you look at phosphorus and oxygen, okay, P is more at the bottom and on the left. So the more at the bottom and the left, or vice versa, basically it's gonna be the more metallic ones. Okay, and then oxygen is on the right. So just because it's more on the left mainly, and also on the bottom. Okay. Okay. So anyways, that's what it means by rule number 1. Rule number 2, second nonmetal is changed to IDE. So we all change up to IDE, IDE, IDE. Okay. The third rule, prefixes are added to indicate the number of atoms. So the prefixes this are added to indicate the number of atoms. So like 4 is tetra. Okay, 9 is nona. Okay, 4 is tetra, 2 is di, 3 is tri. Okay, 1 is mono. Okay, now for monos though, be careful. On monos, it says on the next one, first element do not need monos and never double up on O's. Okay, so first element, like this one, doesn't have mono. Okay, this nitrogen is 1, so this one doesn't have mono. Okay, but if it has any of the other ones, then you do need to do them. So that's why I have it in blue. It's specifically to certain ones that has more than 2. Okay, if the prefix ends in an A, okay, if the prefix ends with an A, so this is a prefixes, and these are the ones that have A. Drop the A if second nonmetal starts with the vowels, though the vowels are A, E, I, O, U. So anything. So here, I changed it to 9. So this was nona. So instead you drop the A, and then instead you put the O from the oxygen, and then the X, and then be careful, I'd. Okay, I'd. So if you want to know how they're, especially the ides, this is fluoride, chloride, bromide, iodide. So you just change those N's to D, to IDE at the end. But it gets tricky with oxygen. It's oxi. You take out the YGEN. Okay, and then if you look at sulfur, you'll be sulfide. Okay, so and so on, like nitride, phosphide, okay, carbide, boride. Okay, so again, it's only a few nonmetals that we play with on covalent bonding. Okay, hydrogen will be hydride. Okay, so you just, again, it's only a couple of nonmetals because we're just talking about the rules for covalent bonding, only the nonmetals. That's it. Okay. Anyways, I'm gonna leave this here so you guys could write down the notes. And make sure you pause it and you could write down the notes. And these are my examples. And that's a wrap, you guys. See you later.